night, good evening, and welcome to THFC Till I Die, your home of Tottenham from past to present. And tonight we are going to talk about Poch to return to Spurs. Is he or won't he? Who knows after him turning down the Chelsea job the other day. Philip is with me, usual co-host. Philip, how are you?
Yeah, fine, damn it. Yeah, fine, absolutely. Looking forward to this discussion because it's very interesting the way this is panning out and how it's going to end. I just do not know.
And also from joining us as another usual co-host, also from her own channel, Spurs Between the Lines, Mia. How are you this evening, Mia?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's all a question, isn't it? It's all like a big question mark over us at the moment with a lot of different things. So yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah, well, this all came from an article that came out yesterday that it did turn down the offer to become the new Chelsea manager. So does he know something we don't? As Sean said this morning, I watch Sean's walk with Sean's every morning. Please, everyone, get that. It's a good watch in the morning. Do you know? Is it true or is it a load of baloney? Who knows? So look, we're going to dive in it tonight and try to make some sense of it all. Just welcome a few people in the chat before we get cracking. We'll big up with Tom Tracker. Big up Tom, how he says evening, everyone. We've got Shamu from New Zealand. It's a no from me for Poch return. This club lacks the most basic direction and makes it super hard to get behind the team. Probably would have to disagree. Philip, do you want to say anything to Shamu on that?
Yeah, I don't think. I think the direction of the club up to a certain point is okay. It's the direction on the transfer side of it that's probably lacking cohesion. I think that's probably where we're falling down. Now, I'm sure if Poch does come back, he knows Daniel Levy probably better than most. He worked with him for 5-6 years. So he knows what to expect and whether he'll be backed when he comes back. So it's a tough one to answer that. It really is. But one thing, I will always get behind the team, no matter who's the manager.
Yeah, that's it. David Clark, hello from Leicester. Hope everyone is well. Shimo, cool shirt, Dermo. Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Also, he says, when are we getting a live drum solo from Philip?
I only do one of them a week on a Tuesday. Sorry, you'll have to talk to my agent about
that. We've got David Clark, big up. He says, I voted yes for Poch to return, but I don't want him to come back until the disgusting owners are gone. Well, there is a vote in the chat. Do you want Poch back if Conte leaves Spurs? And at the moment, 6 votes in, 83% say yes, 17% say no. And we will give you the result of that at the end of the show. Big up Wayne Bonner. It says, evening all. Hope you're all well. Poch under Levy won't work. The proper backing that's needed won't be there again. Therefore, history will repeat itself. And that's where I'm coming from. Nothing's going to change. But we had Poch, we had the good times under him. Just leave it there. If Conte does leave, let's go in a different direction. Shamu said, getting up at 2, 3, 4 a.m. Why? Pretty much, I think, responds to you, Philip, what you said. And he also said pretty much, David. You've got the article there, haven't you, Philip, about him turning down Chelsea? Do you want to tell everyone give people a bit of a background why we're doing this show tonight and how this came about?
It's interesting because, I mean, Poch, as we know, has been out of a job since he was sacked by PSG. So it must be a year ago now, or more maybe. And he's obviously I'm sure it's not from want of offers that he's not working. I mean, he will be very much in demand, and I'm sure he has been offered jobs that he doesn't class as suitable. Now, to turn down an offer from Chelsea might appear on the face of it to be a little bit foolhardy, because Chelsea, well, we hate to admit it, are a big club. They've lots of money. They have the equivalent of Basil Fawlty running the club, but that's not their problem. And that's why I think he probably turned it down, because of the antics of the new chief executive, Todd Bowley, whatever he wants to call himself. I mean, the guy has not got a clue, literally. No. He's like a young kid going to a sweet shop, grabbing everything. And the fact that they cost 10 times what they should doesn't seem to bother him.
No.
So I think Poch turned it down for 2 reasons. One, the obvious one, that he's had a little whisper that things might be changing at Tottenham in the next few months, and he'd rather come back to Tottenham Or two, he knows he goes into Chelsea, doesn't succeed to the level Todd Bowley wants him, and becomes another statistic on the Chelsea sack manager board. And that's why I think that to him, Chelsea is not an attractive option at the moment for him. And that's why I think he's hung out for Tottenham. But to hold out for Tottenham and turn down Chelsea, there must be something. Something's been said to somebody somewhere along the line. We'll just have to wait and see if that's the case, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Mia, look, we all love Poch. We all adore the time he was manager, and we all look back on them as good times. We should have done more, of course, as a club. We should have won. We should have won a bit more, or even won a league under him, but for a kick here or a kick there. We didn't. We got to a Champions League final for a dodgy bit of a referee decision. We could have won that either. Why do you think Poch is hanging out for Tottenham? Does he know something? As I said to Philip, does he know something we don't? And if so, this rumour has not just gone away, has it?
I don't think it's ever going to go away, because I think that is because Poch has said in the past that he would love to come back to us. That's always going to be there until he does come back. I think that's more of why it's always going to be like somebody that we're linked with forevermore until he comes back. Personally, I'm with Philip. I think there could be two different scenarios. He is maybe as well a little bit loyal to Tottenham. There might be a little bit of, I don't want to manage Chelsea because of maybe the link to do with Tottenham. And if he did, he won't want to be, I don't know, like he might not be as welcomed back to Tottenham. Maybe that's what he's thinking. But I also think that it's to do with the way that they treat managers at Chelsea. It's like a revolving door of managers, and they've got like 100 new school children in their yard, like, and they don't know any of their names. They've all got name badges on because they don't know who the heck they are. So it's a really difficult, like at the moment at Chelsea, it isn't really easy. And I don't think he wants to walk into that chaos. It is a bit chaotic at Chelsea at the moment. So I think that partly he wouldn't want to walk into that situation. I think he'll want a job that's got a bit more stability to it. I think that he'll want a plan. He'll want a bit more of a... I can't see Poch just going into that chaos. I really can't. And because of the way they treat managers, I think that's going to make him think, oh, no, that's not... it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? It's a risk to him as a manager.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really... I slightly disagree with you on that, with the Chelsea thing. I think any manager will go where he thinks he can be successful. Glenn Hoddle, one of our legend of the club, went to Chelsea as a playing manager, then come and manage us. With managers, there's no principles. If they're getting a good deal, lots of money to spend on players, and they're going to be successful, they will go where they can win stuff. And I think
that's the problem, because they're not actually. When was the last, like with Chelsea, they're not consistently winning anymore. That used to work with them, where they used to get a manager in, win stuff, but that hasn't been the case so much lately. So there's no guarantee for Chelsea that it is actually going to work. So Poch might be thinking that, because there's no guarantee that is going to actually happen.
We also had ex-Chelsea managers managing us, so I don't think there's no other thing, pride, or there's no love for the club they're at. Managers will go where they can go and get successful. I do agree. I understand what you're saying, Mia and Philip, but I don't think he turned it down. For me, Poch wants to come back to Tottenham. He's hearing something in the background. Either Levy's been in his ear. Look, this is going to happen. In the summer. Be ready. We don't know what's going to happen, but these rumours just do not go away, and it's very unfair on Conte with him being ill as well at the moment. Somebody has to come out and squash these rumours.
Yeah. It'd be very easily done. Antonio Conte comes out in the morning and commits himself to Tottenham, then happy days. The rumours go away. But I see the comment there from SH Spurs 1 there saying we're being disrespectful to the Tottenham current manager. If I can turn it on its head a bit, I think he is being rather disrespectful to the fans by not giving us clear guidance as to what's going to happen. If he turns around and says, I'm staying for another 2 years, happy days, end of story, Poch rumour is put on the back burner for another couple of years until Poch does go. But we don't know what's happening, and I think so. That's why I think we're quite entitled to discuss the rumours that are prevalent in the game at the moment that Pochettino is coming back. And the only way those rumours are going to stop is if Conte declares his future. And I don't think that's coming anytime soon, because I think most pundits have come to the conclusion that Conte will no longer be at Tottenham come the 1st of July.
See, my opinion is,
go on, Mia. Sorry.
It's already done. I think it's already been decided that Conte is going to leave, but he doesn't want to cause an upset because the fans will have a big meltdown if it's announced now. So I think the club and Conte already know that's the deal. I think they already know behind the scenes that that's going to happen. So that's how I think of it, because I think he would have committed by now already if he was going to. To me, I think that, I think they already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We
don't want Conte to leave. Just to make it clear, we don't want Conte to leave, but we're being realistic in so much as all the indicators are pointing to the fact that he will leave. And until we get something to the contrary to that, we're going to have to assume that a new manager will be in place come next July.
Yeah. I just want to say big up to SH Spurs 1 and also John Neals as well as popped in. First time I've seen you in the chat. So big up to you too. Look, on why you're talking about, look, as Philip said, if Conte had come out or the club had come out, Conte is signed for another, we've picked up the option for the further year, or Conte signed a new 2-year contract. As Philip said, we wouldn't be talking about this. But with all the rumours, with Poch turning down Chelsea, if it was that desperate for work, why wouldn't he take the Chelsea job? It's work, and he's in London. It's a London club where he loves living, unless he knows something, unless something is down the line. And
there's another aspect to that as well, Dermot. Actually agree with what you're saying there. But there's two things there. Pochettino also said, because as an ex-Espanyol player, he would never manage Barcelona. No way would he manage Barcelona. Now, he knows if he goes to Chelsea, he's going to lose a lot of face with an awful lot of Spurs fans who literally despise Chelsea more than they despise Arsenal. So that's another reason behind his thinking, I think.
Yeah, but it didn't. Glenn Hoddle didn't lose any respect when he went to become Chelsea playing manager.
Different time, Dermot. 20 years ago, that was a different time.
Yeah, but Philip, it's
social media wasn't as prevalent as it is now. There was no social media.
I know. But
people just accepted it.
Yeah, but there is plenty of ex-players who have gone to manage their arch rivals clubs, and over the years, there's plenty of managers that have gone to say, who's been successful at one club and they've left and they went to look. Mark Hughes, a successable legend at Manchester United, went to manage Manchester City. There's
I'm saying that it happens. But
I understand.
Maybe people are more. Maybe Pochettino are slightly more. I won't say morals, but he's slightly more conscious than some of these other guys.
Yeah, I look. It's football has football players or managers have no loyalty. They'll go where they can get the best deal possible for themselves.
No, but that's not true. Because we just said that Poch just said though about Barcelona, he would never go because he played for Espanyol. He said he would never categorically ever do it. And I know for a fact I can put all my Louis Vuitton handbags that I love so much on the fact that he would never, ever manage Arsenal. Pochettino would never go to Arsenal. I can tell you that now.
Yeah,
because
I'm
that
not
is
saying that.
He is.
Mia, I'm not saying that. The point I'm saying is that managers have managed other clubs before without, who are saying managers been successful at one club, have moved to another London club and taken over there. How many ex-Chelsea managers have we had at Tottenham? That Mourinho, successful at Chelsea,
but
said
we don't care about them.
Could you let me finish? Mia, could you just let me finish, please? He said in the press conference when he was Chelsea manager, I will never manage Tottenham. And then 6 or 7 years later, he managed Tottenham. So if the money is good and if the deal's right for them. Now, I'm saying that maybe you are right. Pochettino has a bit of loyalty to us. That I agree with you. I know I've heard him saying he'll never manage Barcelona, but the point I'm trying to make is ex-players and managers have gone to different clubs before where they've said one thing and done another. So maybe the Chelsea job is too to, as you say, there's players that don't know each other. That there's no, the Chelsea's like walking into a revolving door. To be fair, you walk in one day and you sack the next. So I can understand them not wanting that. But if another Premier League came in for him and offered him, say, a Liverpool or somebody like that, if somebody
Didn't he
said in
turn
the
down
chat,
Man U though? Didn't he turn that down Man United as well at some point?
well, he was managing PSG at the time. You know, we all know what's going to happen. As far as Conte's still the manager, and look, we all want Conte to stay. That, let's get one thing clear, and we all agree on that. But because nobody's come out, he's staying. Nobody's come out and said the club or Conte themselves have made any statement what's happening. These rumours are going to keep persisting, and these still going to be linked. He's still going to be linked now. Again, does he know something we don't? We don't know. But somebody needs to come out and tell us. Because
they won't, though. They won't.
You said yourself, Philip, about being a lame duck manager a while ago, one show we did about, you know, if these keep persisting, if he doesn't sign a contract and he doesn't show commitment. Do you know, what would you do, Philip, to squash these rumours? What do you want to see happen? What do you want to see?
There's two ways this rumour can be squashed. But just before I answer that, another reason why a lot of back in, say, the year 2000, 2002, 2003, managerial salaries weren't great compared to what they are now. The guys like Pochettino can comfortably afford to stay out of work until the right offer comes along, whereas maybe that wasn't the case 20 years ago. So maybe that's got some money or something. He doesn't need to. He could retire tomorrow and never work again, I'm sure. Like most managers can't. But back to your question there. There's two ways they can do it. One, they can come out and say Conte's signing a new contract and that's the end of the matter and he stays. Two, he leaves and we bring in someone like Thomas Frank, right? And that does away with the Pochettino rumours for a while. But I still think at some stage along his career, Pochettino will be back at Tottenham. And I would welcome him back at Tottenham. Maybe not at the moment because of the situation where some of the players that were effective in getting rid of him the first time are still there. And that's going to cause issues, I think. No matter how good a manager he is, there's going to be some awkward moments there. So that's the case. But I suppose the obvious one, the handiest one for a lot of us would be for Conte to stay. But I don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to be plan B, we get somebody else in, or plan C, we get Poch back. Which it's going to be, I do not know. Daniel Levy needs to be maybe having a word with Conte at the moment when he's in Italy and say, listen, Antonio, what are you doing? Can you please make a decision? And then we can go forward on that. We can maybe, you're staying till the end of the season. Maybe we can track our new manager and have him ready to come in. Have no delays like we had with Mourinho. Because that was a joke that happened there.
But that might already be happening. That's what I'm saying, though, Philip. Maybe in the background, already agreed that. But hear me out. If Levy come out tomorrow and said Conte is leaving at the end of the season, there would be a massive meltdown of fans, right? So why would he do that and make halfway through the season the fans melt down? Say that to the players. They might already know the players, but the players then are going to feel the pressure from the fans because they're going to be having a meltdown. So it probably upset the apple cart for them to come out now this point in the season, which is crucial, and say, actually, Conte's not staying. So I can understand why they're not doing it in a way, but I've got a feeling that they've already got the plan set up. They already know Conte's leaving. And in the background, I think they're going to say Conte's leaving and then we're going to have a new manager. I do think that's going to happen.
I mean, you do have parts of this, Philip. Look at George Graham when they took over to sack George Graham on once we've reached the semi-final, got rid of one manager, bring a manager in to appease the fans. Alan Sugar did the same when they sacked Harry Venables, or Ozzy Ardiles to appease the fans. Do you think if Conte, if Levy does pull the trigger and say, right, Antonio, we're going to pull the trigger now, do you think he might just stick? He might say, right, Poch, do what he did with Mourinho. Sack Poch, I'd say 11:30 at night and then 6:30 in the morning announce like Mourinho was announced as our new manager. Do you think something like that could, if Conte did leave, it would be very quickly turn around between him leaving and if, say, it is Poch to come back?
No, Levy won't sack Conte. Not a hope. No chance. What he will do is let his contract run down. And that's what I agree with what Mia's saying there. We would have a lame duck manager if it was announced now that he was leaving at the end of the season. Like we've 14 or 15 matches to go plus the cup games. And it would be very difficult to motivate a team that knows that the manager's going. You know, it's just human nature. It's just the way it happens, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why he'll not sack Conte. So I see Mia's situation has been probably the one that will happen. Everyone will know what's happening, but no one's going to say anything about it until it happens, and then it happens. But in the meantime, they want to be working in the background. And what's going to happen there? Then the press are going to get wind of this. Someone's going to speak, and it's going to be Thomas Frank to Tottenham when Conte leaves. We'll be looking at that for the next 3 months. So it's going to be an awkward few months for Spurs fans, regardless who you want to stay or who you want to go.
Look, I look. We've got a few good comments in here, guys. Adrian Soccer, big up Adrian. So it said there was no talk of homeless sickness when Conte spent 2 seasons at Chelsea, but his family were in London with him.
Yeah,
that's why. So I think that's
his daughter's
why.
in university. His daughter's in university in Italy. That's why. Plus, don't forget, he's lost 3 or 4 people very close to him in the last year, and that's bound to have had an effect on him as well. You know.
Oh God, yeah.
Plus the illness.
Yeah. We've got SH Spurs fan. Arsenal fans don't hate George Graham. Of course, came from Arsenal to Tottenham and managed us. Won us a trophy as well.
Of course they don't. Look what all he won with them. You know, he won them a load of trophies. So, you know.
Yeah. Sterling said he would never play for Chelsea. That's true. And, of course, he
money.
Yeah, exactly. David Clark, Daniel Levy's not going to tell fans nothing because he doesn't think he has to discuss football matters or any other matter with the fans. That is so true.
I don't think that's true at all. I think that actually he, like I just said, do you want the fans to go into meltdown if he turns around and says Conte's leaving at this crucial point?
No, I think
no, it's sensible, isn't it? Like you've got to do what you think is sensible. Would you announce it any other job? Would you start announcing people's contracts and what's going on with them? Probably not necessarily.
I think Dave was trying to get across is that Daniel Levy's never talked about any football matters with the fans. I think that's what he's trying to get at. That we were always left in the dark over every decision, whatever it is on transfers, on managers, or whatever. We've never have where we used to have a dialogue with the club. The club were always announcing something to the fans. You know, we always had a tight knit Tottenham and the fans, but under this ownership, they've sort of gone apart. But I understand what you're saying, Mira, and I do agree with you what you're saying on that. By the way. I think that would give certain of the fan base ammunition. And something has to be done. We can't be left in limbo. SH Spurs 1, David Clark, Daniel Levy's too busy trying to find someone of some people to tell Tottenham to. I don't get that. Or maybe I'm not with it. He also said, if Pochettino does come back, it will be the proof that we're a complete joke. And I would be completely embarrassed. Who wants to take that comment?
I wouldn't be embarrassed at all. As I said, I don't want him to come back maybe under the current circumstances. But a guy that had us playing the best football we've played in years, probably since Keith Birkinshaw's years, I wouldn't be embarrassed about him at all. Like, I don't normally agree with this that it's good to go back to a club. I think normally that's not normally a good thing. But I think given a second chance, Poch and Tottenham could be, whenever, a perfect fit if he gets the backing that he should have got when he was at the club. And that's the case. But no way would I be embarrassed if he came back. I'd be embarrassed if we employed a lesser manager like Sam Allardyce or Neil Warnock or someone like that. That would be a joke. But not Pochettino. He's too well respected in the game and too good a boss to be embarrassed if he came back, you know.
This one for you, Mia, and then we will get into the questions we've got. And we've got thank you to Philip who done the question for us, and he's done some juicy ones. If Conte stalls on the new deal, Mia, Levy will, without doubt, definitely strike first. Out the door he'll go. Now, we're hearing rumours that the contract talks have stalled. Well, you can understand that with him being ill in Italy. But did they have enough time, Mia, during the World Cup during times, international breaks, where they could have sat down with Antonio and said, right, thrash it out. They had 4 weeks. They could have thrashed it out over the World Cup, sign a new contract, announce it, during the World Cup, Conte has signed a
But
new 2-year deal. Do you think why wasn't that done?
because maybe he didn't want to sign the contract. Has anyone thought that actually Conte just might not have wanted to stay? Like, I don't understand. Like, you can't force somebody to sign a contract. The thing is, you can offer them the world, but if they are thinking, actually, I want to be back in Italy. My friends have just passed away. I've got to spend time with family while I can, because you never know what is around that corner. As I've seen with my friends that have passed away, really close together as well. Maybe his thinking was, actually, I don't want to sign the contract. Nobody comes at it from that angle. Everybody's saying it's the club, they're not getting him to sign. Well, what if he just didn't really truly want to sign? And then they agreed and said, okay, you can stay till the end of the season. Maybe that was agreed when they sat down. We don't know, do we? And we were never going to know unless he comes out and says so.
Well,
Which is
Danny
his
Levy-
right to have privacy,
Yeah.
to not us to not know. In a way, that's not really our right to know.
There'll be no
go on.
settlement either. If he leaves at the end of the season, there'll be no settlement to pay him. Whereas if he leaves
Right.
now, there will be. So that'll be another thing Levy is looking at, you know?
Yeah, well, he sacked Mourinho before a cup final when he had to pay out probably.
Oh yeah,
bonus
that's
from
true. I'm
Madrid.
not, but I'm saying, well, maybe he realised he shouldn't have done that, and now he's not going to do it. He's not going to make the same mistake again. Sorry, for the third time, because
Yeah.
he did Martin Yole the same way.
Yeah, well, yeah, Martin Yole was discussing, and we will get probably into that. We have Agent Zucker says here, we have all lost close relatives and dear friends. Conte should be well past grieving now, if not by season's end. Look, everyone grieves in different ways. Everyone deals with loss in different ways. Now, he lost 3 personal friends in the short space of time. And I think with his family being in Italy, I think, especially with the operate, which nobody's actually saying that it was an emergency operation. This wasn't just no routine op; it was an emergency op. So, to add to what Andrew Soka said into the question, I'll start with you, Philip, and then go to Mia. Do you think Antonio Conte, when he tried to come back too quick, has now realised, right, I've got to put myself first. I've got to put myself instead of putting the club first.
Look, I think he came back against doctor's orders, which led me to believe this guy does have some ambition for the club. And if he was lethargic about coming back, he would have take as long as he liked before he actually came back. And he didn't. He came back very quickly. He came back too quickly. So from that point of view, but then again, I think it's possible. He has won trophies at every club he's been at, right? He does not want to leave Tottenham, whenever it be, next summer or whenever, without a trophy. So I think he came back thinking, we're still in the FA Cup, we're still in the Champions League. He wants to win a trophy and not besmirch his legacy, his record of winning at every club he's been at. Whereas if he leaves us in July and we've nothing, then that's a dark spot on his record. If you get what I'm coming from, you know.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back maybe more for his own reputation than the good of the club, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah. Mia, look, before we get big up Mark Newsis, big up Dermot, Phil, and Mia. I love Poch to return. He's a long-term manager with Tottenham DNA. The question is not backing him with new players in, but get the legacy hitching players out. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. But big up Mark.
That's the whole thing.
That is the whole thing. Mia, now with all of this now, with Poch rejecting Chelsea, he hasn't had been a job since PSG. With Conte's not signing a new deal, he's in Italy. The club do have an option to extend his stay at Tottenham for a further year. Why haven't Tottenham said, right, I know you say he might not want to stay here, but why haven't the club taken up on that option?
Because why would you extend it if he doesn't want to stay? That's
silly, isn't it?
It's two-sided.
It's two-sided. You have to be willing for him to stay, because if you're forcing him to stay and you're like, well, we're extending that year, and he doesn't agree to it, then you're going to be like a manager that doesn't want to be there for that extra year. What's the point in that? That's not very sensible to do that. They did that in case someone else come in for him, I think.
Yeah.
In case another.
Yeah, sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, in case another club come in for him, I think that's probably why they do it. And can I quickly just go back to what Adrian said? Joe Watt, right? I've lost somebody very close to me twice now when I was younger. And Joe Watt, I still hold that feeling heavy in my heart. And it's been many years since they passed away. And I think when you grieve and when it's people that are close to you, that's always going to be in your heart because you lost people that were really close. And one of my friends, it was actually her birthday on Valentine's Day, it would have been. And I posted a post on my Instagram and I was teary when I was writing it still, and it's been a long time. So I think that people definitely grieve differently, and I think that it is a horrible feeling when you lose people that are very close to you. So, I think you can't underestimate the human element of grieving and how people do it differently.
Yeah. Look. I think also I grieve when you lose somebody, and where Conte's lost three people in a row. I think you all grieve in different ways, but I do feel the club should give us some direction where we're going, because at the moment we're going nowhere, and I just want somebody to tell me something. What is going on? I don't care if it's a meltdown. If they come out and say Conte's to leave at the end of the season, we'll all get behind him to make sure we do make him. If he does leave,
People do that.
huh?
That's the But people won't all do that. They're just going to give another reason to get the spear and chuck it at Daniel Levy. So of course he's not going to do that to himself, because that's silly to try and do that to himself. He's just going to basically shoot himself in the foot with that if he turns around and says that, and he knows that for a fact. So he's doing what he thinks is best because he knows the fans are going to have a massive meltdown. So I kind of do see it from that point of view. Like I kind of see it from a non-Spurs fan sort of point of view, as in from his maybe the club's point of view, because the meltdown would be ridiculous. It would. Let's be honest.
I just think there needs to be some sort of we need to know what's happening, but we will get back on it later. Philip, I'll start with you with this. If he does come back, how will Poch deal with the likes of Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, and other players who got him the sack first time round, if he does come back, and still at the club, who are instrumental, as I said, in his 2019 sacking?
Yeah, and it's funny that two of those players, well, at least two of those players are now probably nearly called regulars in the first team, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. And I'm not sure how instrumental those two were, but they would have had a part in his sacking in 2019. Well, the only thing is, he's going to have to talk to them, and he can either build bridges with them, say let bygones be bygones, let's get on with it for the good of the club, or he can put them training with the kids. But he can't do that because there's no one to replace them. And this is where the lack of transfer foresight comes back to bite Daniel Levy in the ass, you know? So, and that's my main reason for not wanting Poch to come back at this stage, is to get these guys have to be off the books when he does come back, and he starts with a clean sheet. He's not starting with a clean sheet. He's starting with 4 or 5 players: Hugo Lloris and Davinson Sanchez, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, also a lot plus those two that are still at the club. When you think about it, that's 6 players 4 years ago, and they're still here. And look at any other top Premiership club. Can you say the same thing? I don't think so. Maybe the odd one might be still there, but the turnover of players is so much quicker at the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, and obviously Chelsea, because they're buying everybody. But how will he deal with them? You know, it may be a case of you can't sack them. I mean, you can sack a manager, but you can't sack a player. They're hardly going to cancel their contracts. So he's going to have to say, listen, let's buckle down till the summer. If you do what I want to tell you and play well, we'll see how we get on. If not, prepare yourself for a transfer. You're leaving.
So. Yeah, I just want to say big up before we get to you, Mia. I'll big up to Kev Williams, who's come in. A big up to Shawnee and Spurs Talk Show as well. He says, evening, everyone. Mia, look, what would you do, right? Let's play devil's advocate here, right? We cannot get these players, cannot be sold. Dyer, Davis, nobody will want them because how crap they do play. Now, when Poch took over his first time round, if he does come back, when Poch took over back when he was here first, it took him a season to get rid of everyone and start a clean slate. Do you expect him, if he did come back, to lay down his demands to Levy, say, I want this player sold, that player sold, that player sold? How do you think he's going to deal with the players that got him to sack the first time round if he did come back?
I think that he definitely needs to have that authority to be able to get all the players he wants out. If they can't be outed, then we need to rip up their contracts and say bye-bye, see you later, you're not good enough. Like, that's what we have to be ruthless with it. We just have to be. Like, you know, it has to be done. And can I just say, I don't believe that all of the players got Poch sacked. I don't believe it was all the players' fault. I do think that some of it was down to Pochettino himself. I do think some of it was Poch. I don't think we can just blame players, because I do think that he did make mistakes, and I do think that it was his time to go. I'm just going to say that. I do think that certain players maybe, but I just think that some of it was probably on Pochettino slightly as well. I think that, you know, but I do think that he needs to have authority. If he comes back, he has to have that authority to say, I want you gone, you gone, you gone. And if they can't go, rip up their contracts. That's what I say. Ruthless. Yeah. You have to be ruthless.
Yeah, he has to be. But Philip, Kev Williams says here, he says, Dermot, I feel the same. All I want is direction, to feel like the players have stability. Do you feel all this rumbling on what's happening? I mean, in the media and on Spurs channels like this, that will he stay or will he go? If not, then Poch comes back in. Will this affect the players and how they performing? Do you know, is it like a ripple effect into the dressing room when they talk amongst themselves in WhatsApp groups and that?
It shouldn't affect them. They should be professional enough to just get on with what they're paid to do. But like, obviously, they're like, I'll use the Manchester United. Look at the cliques that developed with Manchester United last season.
Yeah.
And they wrecked their season, you know. Cristiano Ronaldo probably been the main culprit. So, you know, yeah, there will be people talking like, I mean, can I use Emerson Royal as an example? Now, he was probably the most maligned Spurs player on social media at the back end of last year. He was getting slated every time. What did he do? He buckled down, and now look at him, right? So there's no reason why the same players that were here under Poch and maybe fearing for their future if he does come back can't do the same. Let's face it, they're still going to be getting 80 grand a week or 90 grand a week for the length of the time that they're here. They're not going to lose out on the salary. And as for ripping up the contracts, I don't think we get away with that just at this moment in time, because we don't have the players to replace them. You know, if you ripped up 2 or 3 contracts for defensive players, we have nobody to come in. So we're stuck with them till the end of the season. And I think it's going to be for someone like Poch to come back, who obviously loves the club to bits and wants to come back, he can hit the ground running. My only fear from another manager coming in, has got to go through the introduction process, get to know the way things operate around the club. That could take him a season to do that, and that's a season lost. So it's a delicate balancing act here. Really, what's going to happen? But I think the one thing that is certain, you were saying you wanted someone from the club to come out and give us guidance as to what's happening. I really cannot see that happening. I really can't. Why should Levy change the habit of a lifetime? Mike, why should he change the habit of a lifetime? You know.
They've never done it, so why start something new? Mia, look, we all want Conte to succeed. We want is a trophy, and whoever does it, I think there'd be a big manager since Keith Birkinshaw won a trophy. George Graham, for Christ's sake, was an ex-Arsenal manager and player who won us a trophy. Randy Ramos as well. Do you feel if Conte was to leave, bringing Poch back in would be also, he knows how the club's run, he knows the players, and there's not so much of a new manager having as Philip says, a season to get his feet under the table. Do you know, bringing Poch back is sort of a no-brainer because he knows how the club runs, he knows Levy, he knows the board. Do you know what I mean? Is it an easy get-out clause for the owners to bring Poch back if Conte did leave, because there's not so much he can hit the ground running sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a bit like, if you get a new pair of shoes and they give you a bit of a blister, don't they, at first? You've got to get them in, you've got to wear them in. Where Poch is like a pair of old slippers, isn't he? Like a really comfy pair of slippers that you're used to. So that's probably how the club see him. He's like a pair of old slippers. He could just slip right back in, slip onto his feet. walk around. He knows everything. He knows where everything is. He knows everybody. So he knows all the back, like the staff. I know he'll bring his own staff with him, but all the other staff, he'll know them already. He knows Betty in the tea room. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's probably a bit like that. Definitely, it's a bit like the old, like I say, a nice comfy pair of old slippers. But that's not what I want. I don't want a nice comfy pair of old slippers. I want what's best for the club, and I don't know if Poch is what's best. But if it comes, I'll 100% back. Like, I'll back him. I've got no choice. I don't get to choose the manager, so whoever comes in, I'm going to give a chance. So I'm not going to I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to be horrible about Poch, or go, oh, Poch this. I want to give him a good chance if he comes back, but I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I don't think that wearing old slippers a bit smelly, and you probably need to give them a good wash.
Yeah. David Clark put here, Philip, just get your quick thoughts on this. Harry Crane only trained in the morning but not in the afternoon. The reason given was that they are restricting his training after a recent illness.
That's fair enough. Yeah, okay. That's nothing really. It's a precaution, really. I mean, these guys are fit enough anyway. They can do one. In fact, I'm surprised to know they're training in the afternoon as well. I thought most of the training was done in the morning. They one session. But yeah, if they think it's fit, if it's right for Harry to sit it out, I'm fine with that. I don't want to hear next Saturday or whenever Sunday that he's overtrained or he's tweaked his ankle in training and he's not playing. So no, put him in cotton wool because we need him.
Yeah.
It sounds like an illness. It sounds like he might have a cold or maybe a little bug or something.
Yeah, he had that before. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, don't forget he's got young children and they carry all kinds of germs. So you pick that up from the children a lot.
Big up to Ellie. She says Levy is a very astute man, and his PR machine are in overdrive to protect him from getting the boot. He will bring Poch back as he will. As that will make him Mr. Popular again with a quarter of our fan base. Look, he did the same when they sacked George Graham to brought Glenn Hoddle in. Sugar did the same when they sacked Harry Venables to all that debacle. They brought in Ozzy Ardiles. Any owner that get himself out of trouble when it comes to the managers will try to bring in somebody from the past to appease the fans. Do you think it will? Do you think? What do you say to that question, Philip? I actually put it to you, Amir. Actually, Philip, I put it to you first. Do you think that might just get? Well, what do you say to Ellie's question? Really, Ellie's comment here.
I don't know when he'd be popular. I don't listen. I think if Daniel Levy gave everybody free season tickets for the next 10 years, he wouldn't be popular with some of the fan base. No. I think no matter what he does, he's not going to be Mr. Nice Guy or Mr. Popular with the fans. What I would like to see, and this is pretty radical, what I would like to see at Tottenham is this, right? The three options have been given. One, a full buyout, a 30% buyout or an investment, or Levy and Lewis stay where they are and do nothing. I would like to see the middle one. And what I would like to see done is that this is me and my simplistic way of looking at things. If we got someone to come in and put £1 billion into the club, right? And 750 million of that, or whatever the figure is used to clear the debt. So we become relatively debt free. And the other $250 million stuck into buying players. Now, that if that happened, that could turn anybody's head to stay at the club, Antonio Conte included. And it would also give a new manager, if that was the case, coming in, a fantastic base to work from at the very start. A club that's got no debt, new players to the value of $250 million, and possibly new investors who will restrict Daniel Levy's power. Okay, he'll still be at the club, but they will have a 30% say in what goes on at the club, which could just curb his excesses a little bit. So maybe I'm dreaming, but that's the way I would like to see things pan out over the next few months.
Yeah. Okay. Big up, Ellie. Thanks for the comment. Where does it go? Yeah. So look, hang on, just get this question up here, guys. I'll start with you, Mira, on this one first. If you were Poch, what assurances would you need from Daniel Levy before accepting the job? Look, very quickly, Mira, before I let you in on that. Look, for me, I want insurances that I can get who I want. I want a certain amount of money to spend on transfers, and I want that in January, that in the summer. Now, we don't know if Paratici is going to be there or not. We don't know what's happening on the Paratici thing either. So is he going to be around the club? Do we need a new director of football? I will want more of a say in the footballing side than I did last time around, because I felt Poch didn't have a lot to say. He kept saying in certain press conferences, I'm only the head coach here. The chairman deals with the chairman and Hitchin deal with the transfers. So I want more of I'm going to run the club, I'm going to do it my way. Do you think that's what he's got to ask for, Mia? Or do you think he'll just roll over for Levy and just have his belly tickled because what's gone on before?
If I was Poch, I would ask for assurances that I would have all the players I want ousted, and that when it comes to players, it wouldn't be a certain amount of money. For me, it would have to be players that I want, because I don't think money necessarily equals players that are, that will work, or it's got to be players that Poch wants. It can't be anything but players that Poch wants, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So they're the assurances I would want. I'd want out all the people out that I want out, and then I'd want all the players in have to be my players to play my way. That's what I would be saying to Daniel Levy personally.
Yeah,
that's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. Shall I go on? Let me finish up there.
Yeah, no, and the plan as well. I understand it's tricky, but it has to be not all his, I can't explain it, but they've got to be players that he does approve, like that he say, yes, these players are the players in the style that I want and the type of player that I want. So maybe a certain profile of player more than a specific,
the problem with that is
player.
Yeah, the problem with that is, Poch can say, I want Gvardiol from Leipzig and I want Bastoni from wherever he's playing at the minute. See, the problem there is, will they want to come to Tottenham? You can want all the players you want. They may not want to come. Their agent might not want to come. The fee mightn't be correct. And so, it's, while it's ideal to say I want X, Y, and Z, I think if he would say, right, you've got X number of pounds to spend, right, that might suit him, because then he knows he can get players within the budget. Because let's face it, we're not Chelsea, we're not Todd Bowley paying 10 times the price for a player. That's never going to happen at Tottenham. And that's why players will go to Chelsea, because the money, they're going to make more money at Chelsea. And that's they don't care about it's the wage pack at the end of the week that matters most to some of these players, not where they're playing.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume that Poch would have some sort of idea. That's what I meant. Like, I think he'd have probably.
Oh yeah.
But working before, but maybe not a specific player for it. Maybe like a profile of player. So I want this profile of player to play. Maybe put out them parameters, and then they can search for a type of player within the budget for that player. So if they say, oh, well, a player can do X, Y, and Z, they find these players could do X, Y, and Z within their budget, because then that way he's getting a kind of say in what they're like, the type of player, more than a specific player, maybe.
Yeah. True enough. It's just that, yourself, we set our minds on, we wanted, remember Skriniar, didn't get him. Then we were talking about Gvardiol. No way anyone going to get him for under 100 million. So, you got to get a player that, as she rightly says, that's in that mold of player, that's psychologically right, that ticks all the boxes, but at a reasonable price. Because I don't think Spurs are in the market for paying over the odds. Okay, sorry, I'll say that. We done it with Sanchez and Ndombele, but look, that's what probably taught us a lesson,
Yeah. Look, with this, going to your point very quickly, Philip, about the club being bought out 30% or whatever, what could you see ENIC and Levy just selling the football inside, selling the football club, but not selling the rest of the redevelopment around the area? Could you see that happening?
Yeah, I can see it happening, but I can also see it being very attractive to a prospective purchaser, and that's all included. So I really think that could be a sticking point. It's a very good point, Dermot. Obviously, there's money to be made from this development whenever it takes place. But is Daniel Levy willing to give all that up? Is the purchaser willing to give it up as well? Whereas that's probably included in their price range, price projection the club is worth. They will have included that development in it. So we either sell the club minus the development for a lot less than the figure we're hearing at the moment, or Daniel Levy or then Levy sells it up to them and gives them the development, which I don't see, because ENIC is an investment company. They want to keep earning money for their investors, and that's a ready way of doing it.
Well, the latest on that bit, we will get back onto Poch very quickly, but the latest on that is the Indian American man who was going to put a bid in. I think he's preparing a bid for 3.75 billion to buy Tottenham Hotspur,
and that includes the 750 million of debt, I think.
No, can I just that would be extra debt on top of the club, Philip. That's not paying off the debt. That 750 is debt we'd be left with. We've got one of the highest debts. We've got a higher debt, I think, than Barcelona has at the moment in Europe.
But the thing about it is we've got a new stadium to speak of included in that debt. They haven't. Theirs was just pure financial mismanagement. But this thing about, I think it's 3.75 million taken for the club and still having the debt. The Financial Times had it done slightly different. It was 3 million for the club and 750 to pay off the debt. And I think that would be the profitable way forward, because that would leave the debt is ring fenced for 20 years, right? But I think we'd rather not have the debt. You know what I mean? We don't want to be saddled with a huge debt for the next God knows how long.
Just to bring Mir on this, Mir, look, Man United are looking to be bought out, and that whoever, I think it's Qatari owner, bank owner, is going to buy United, and they're going to quickly, the club will be in no debt at all. With us, as far as I know, Philip, I know what you're saying, but as far as I know, we still got, as Philip says, we've got that 20-year debt ring fenced by the Bank of England. I think it was a low interest debt over 20 years. Same question to you. Can you see just the football club being sold, Mia, and Levy keeping the redevelopment side of it?
Well, I think that the development side of it, you'd have to ask Sean more information, but I think that the development side was already put in with the club, as in they had to redevelop some of that the contract. Yeah. So don't actually own. I don't know how much they own of the actual development, and if it's allowed to be sold separate, if it's all intertwined whatever it is, with the contract of when they did the stadiums. I don't know if they're allowed to separate it, or if it is separate or what. I don't actually know, because I think that development isn't actually part of I don't know.
Yeah, as far as I understand, that the football club and the redevelopment are two separate companies, so two separate things. They're two separate. I know it was within the contract, I think, when they built the new stadium, that they had to redevelop the area. But I think ENIC and Levy, ENIC will not want to lose the redevelopment side. But Joe Lewis would say, look,
I'm saying they don't gain from it. They don't gain from that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they've got any gain in that redevelopment. They don't earn anything from it. They had to do it when they agreed to the stadium. So
not what I'm trying to say, Mia. I'm trying to say, if somebody was to come in and say, look, I just want the football club, can they just buy the football club outright from me, Joe Lewis, and Levy? Say, look, there's so much million just for the football club. The rest of it you can have. Surely,
No, I think. Sorry, Philip, go on.
No, just to get in there, I think what might determine that answer to that question is what was the planning permission? What name was the planning permission applied for? Was it in the name of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club or ENIC?
I think
if it's in Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, I don't know the answers to the question, but if it's in Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, then that planning sticks with the club. If it's with ENIC, it's up to ENIC to do what they want with it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is ENIC, because I thought, like I said, that the contract was they had to develop the area. That was that if they don't oblige by that contract, they've then broken their contract to build the stadium. So it wasn't anything they gained from building that stuff. They had to do it with the contract. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't be given permission. So they're not allowed to sell the contract. Is the club is the development, because they have to do the development by law. So whoever buys it has to take on that contract.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, Mia. What I'm trying to say is that if the redevelopment is under the ENIC name, and everything was done through that, then surely they could. Then surely, if somebody wants to come in, I mean, Adrian Sucker says here, Tottenham Hotspur Limited owned stadium. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, Athletic County own the players' registration and get the TV money. So, because Enoch is under the Trafford Stock Group, I think, which is a construction sort of part of Enoch, would they have put that under that? I don't know. The point I was trying to make, could somebody come in and say, look, I don't want could they sell the football club? That's something I'm going to have to look into. I understand what you're saying, Mia, but something tells me in the back of my head that it was done under something that somebody read somewhere that they can just sell the football club and not the redevelopment.
But you say they're going to make no money out of that. There will be a lot of money made in that redevelopment. They're building a hotel. They're building houses. They're going to be sold, and they're not going to be sold at cost price either. So there's money to be made in that redevelopment for whoever retains the right to it.
It is. Mia, can I start with you? This question here from, where is it now? Oh, SOF. Big up SOF. Haven't seen you before, sir. Welcome, sir and madam. So welcome to the channel. Mia, he's asking then the second part, Philip, I put to you. The first part here, Mia. Are we just bringing Poch back out sentimental reason, or is it because we actually think he's going to bring success to the club?
I think it's sentiment. I think that's my problem with Enoch and with Levy, whoever makes the decision on the management, is that we're just doing things for sentiment or for other reasons. So after Poch, we got someone in because fans wanted to win, and we were so close to winning. They thought we'll get a winning manager in, and then they did that again with Jose. Now did it with Conte, and now they're going to go back on Poch because they think, oh, that will make the fans happy. We need to stop doing that. We need to have a plan and stick to it, whether it makes the fans happy or not. We need to have a plan and stick to it instead of going back and forth with these managers being sentimental, then wanting to win instantly. But whatever the plan is, we need to give somebody time. I think that's the main thing. To have a plan, tell everybody what the plan is and stick to the plan. That would be the ideal situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's always an element.
Yeah, go on, Philip.
There is an element of sentimentality. There has to be. Obviously, when you bring an ex-manager back, there is. But I also think there's more to it than that. Poch came so close the last time, and Levy, be it right or wrong, obviously has a feeling that given the tools and given the fact. Remember, Poch only had 3 or 4 months in the new stadium. He was sacked in November. We moved in April. Given the tools, he can bring success to the club. He obviously thinks that's the case, more so than bringing in a manager cold, learn the ropes, take a season to adjust, then win it. He expects Pochettino to hit the ground running if and when he comes back.
SOF, I put this one to you, Philip. Any worry that Poch's tactics are outdated? He was a great first couple of years. The last 1.5 years, it was boring. Majority of the league play front foot football now. A lot more park the bus 10 years ago.
No, I don't think. No, I wouldn't totally agree with that. I mean, I always remember Poch's football as not being park the bus football. It's not outdated because I mean he will have. He's had his time at PSG, which will have taught him a few things. I think if he's got the tools, if he's got the players, like we all want attacking, fast football, and he brought that to us. Now, I don't think that type of tactic is outdated, really. I mean, look at Manchester City. They don't play park the bus football. They play attacking football. Liverpool play attacking football. No reason why Spurs can't do it. I think Pochettino is the man. He's done it in the past. He can do it again, but he needs to be backed to get the players in to be able to let him go and do it properly. Again, if he comes, I mean, we're talking hypothetically here all the time.
Yeah. Mia, what do you say?
Sorry,
I'm just trying to do something here.
While you guys were talking. I've just looked it up, and the owner of the Regeneration Development Project is Tottenham, and the management of it is Tottenham Hotspurs FC. It's got nothing to do with Levy, so it's the club that all of that development. So all the development is down to the club. It's down to the club They agreed to do it, and that's like it's on them basically. So whoever buys the club has to continue with that development. They're not allowed to go back on what was agreed. If they agreed to buy the club, they take on the contract to do it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I know that.
And take the profits as well.
I can't understand what you're trying to say.
Huh?
No, I don't think they do. I don't know if they take the profits or not, because I think it was I don't know, Philip, with the agreement and what it is.
You know, the agreement was to build the properties, build whatever they were, a cinema. But I mean, nobody is going to build houses or a hotel at less than cost price, or not. They're going to sell them for less than cost price. They're going to make money on that, no doubt about it. You know, I mean, there'll probably be social housing, which means that the price will be probably capped. But there will be money to be made. And that's probably why Levy is probably reluctant to accept whatever offers on the table. He's looking to the future with the added value that this will bring in due course.
Yeah. Adrian Stockers put here, Trafford Stock own all the companies, many of which are not anything to do or related to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I know that's true.
Yeah, that's correct.
And imagine firing a manager when you're in the top 4, Champions League knockout and an FA Cup for Spurs. This is a typically great season. When did we become so entitled? We're
not going to fire him. We won't fire him. We won't fire him. That's for sure. There's not a hope of him fired.
Going to fire him.
And then it boils back to my point. Then we need some direction.
But
we can wait.
That's the thing. We're not going to get either, Dermot. We're not going to get any word on this. I guarantee it until about the 26th of June this year, whenever his contract's up on the 30th. That's when we'll hear about it. Levy's not going to tell anything that's going to disrupt the apple cart at the moment, even though it will disrupt the apple cart, because as longer the season goes on, the more unsettled everybody's going to get.
But if they already know, then it ain't really them that's getting upset, Philip. It's us as fans, because we feel like we're entitled to know what's going on, and it's us that get upset. It's not so much maybe if the players already know, Conte already knows, the club already knows, that they're already like, well, we know what's going on. It's just us fans, obviously. I
can't imagine all those. I can't imagine all those players saying no, that someone's going to leak something. Really, you know, you can't tell 30 or 40 players something that big and expect everyone to keep shut about it for 6 months.
Look how many players in the past, Philip, have leaked out of dressing rooms, or told somebody else, or told an aunt or a cousin, and they've leaked it to the press. Look, all we ever ask for as a fan base is just some direction on what the plan is. What the plan is, we can get behind. Yet we're all behind Conte. Yet we are in the last 16 in the Champions League. We're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. We're in the top 4, you know, and it could still finish 3rd if we go on a good run. All we ask for is just a bit of confirmation and a bit of a plan. Look, this is what we're doing. This is the direction we're going in. We can get behind that. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not.
We're treated by Levy as such. We're cash cows, really. We're there to provide them money a match day, to buy the expensive drink in the bars, to increase the match day revenue. That's as far as our entitlement goes. After that, he doesn't think he owes us anything at all. That's just unfortunate. But
the poll in the chat at the moment, 34 votes. It's been up for an hour now. Do you want Poch back at Conte leave Spurs? 68% said yes, are saying yes. 32% are saying no. So,
right.
All right. Are you all right for a bit longer, Philip?
Yeah, another 5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And then Mia we'll end off the show together, Mia. I'm enjoying this tonight. This conversation. It's really good. None of us seem to be agreeing on everything, which is great.
No, well, that's the way it is.
It's all our point of views, and which always respected. I'll start with you, Philip, on this. I know you're short on time. Is it wise to reappoint a previous manager who could easily make the same mistakes this time round?
Yeah, that's it. That's the $1 million question. I think we've kind of covered that already. It is very possible that Pochettino could come in and do exactly what he did the last time, or whatever he did wrong the last time, and things don't move forward for us. So it's always a risk. It's always a risk. But that being said, I think like this guy, there is a kind of a special bond between Poch and the fans. And I think, his heart is obviously never left Tottenham. And as such, I think he will have soul-searched himself to know what he did wrong. He'll also know what was done wrong on him by Levy. And he will be looking for assurances the same thing does not happen again. So I'd be kind of confident that he'll come back with his homework done. That's one best way of putting it. And it will be a success at Spurs, and hopefully bring us the trophies that we so rich we deserve, really, and haven't been able to get up to now. But then again, Conte wins the FA Cup in May. Who knows what's going to happen? It's just it's just so much up in the air.
It is. Mia, look, is it wise to reappoint a previous manager? Now, are fans just looking back with rose-tinted glasses? The football we were playing on the Poch at the time, the attack and flowing up the Tottenham way. It's the Tottenham way of playing, and we've had 3 defensive managers since Poch. Do you think the fans just want to get back to the free-flowing football like we did on the Poch, and that's why some fans saying, "I want Poch back"?
Yeah, I think it is probably partly that, because people want the style of play. But as we've seen with even with Poch and with someone like Klopp, after a little while that does need to be changed up, and you do need to change it, because players do get a bit weary of it. So to do it Poch would have to have all the right young players to do it, to press the way he wants to press. So I think that maybe Poch needs to come back with another, to play front foot football, but maybe a little bit different, maybe. So maybe he has sat back and learned, but we don't know that for sure. I think it is a mistake. I don't particularly should come back, but like I say, if he comes back, I'll back him. And he could make the same mistakes, because he could fall back into that. It's easy, isn't it? It's better the devil you know. So he'll only work if he's come back and he's changed as a person, where he will actually maybe look back on what happened and think, maybe this mistake was made, I want this rectified. From the club side as well, he has to make sure that those things are rectified for it to work, because otherwise I think people do look at it with rose-tinted spectacles a little bit with Poch. I love Poch. I've got a real soft spot for Poch, and if he went anywhere else, I said it, if anyone sung the song we sung with him, He's Magic, I would cry. Hearing any other fans singing that song to him, I would be so upset. I'd be like, no, that's our song for him. You're not allowed to sing that song to him. That's our song that we done for him. So I'm very precious over him still. I still love him, but I don't want him to come back and make the same mistakes. I don't. I think that's, he has to have learned from those, otherwise it ain't going to work.
Philip, look, we all want our club to be best, and we all want Conte to be probably the man to do it, because we know he can do it. Do you think also his assistant has been sending out little signals in the press conference? When he talked about Antonio, his passion for the job, his intensity for managing Tottenham Hotspur. We know what our future is. We want to be here for a long time, which he said in one of the press conferences, after the World Cup. Do you think they're letting out little signals, little bits in press conferences, and we're not just picking it up as fans? Or they think they're trying to let us know, but we're just not picking up the signals that they're leaving for us?
Well, I think Conte said something, I think it was I think it was after his operation, before he was told to stay in Italy. Somebody asked him about the future, and he said, "Now's not the time to talk about it." Now that there's a dog whistle in there somewhere, that he didn't want to talk about his future, so he didn't have a future at Spurs. Stellini is being a little bit more diplomatic, saying, but then again, he could be describing Antonio Conte passion. He shows that wherever he goes. So that was kind of a generic description of him, didn't necessarily apply to him being at Tottenham. So I don't know. See, the fact these guys aren't speaking in their first language, it's very easy for them to say something and mean something else. And that's something that the press will pick up on, things like that. So I don't know. I think we can be like Conte. People that want Conte in will be very hopeful that they'll be listening for every word to see can they pick any positives out of it. But at the moment, I think everything is fairly negative. I don't think, and I don't like saying that, because I think if he stays with us, he could be a great success with Tottenham. but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
One question.
I have to leave.
Thank you for everything. We're back tomorrow with the Sugar Year, so I'm looking forward to doing that.
Be a sweet program,
where they finished in the leagues, and little bits and pieces, and we also will, so I'm looking forward to that. Philip, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and everyone.
No problem. Sorry, I have to leave, but I have another appointment now at 8:30, so I have to go.
No, yes,
right. Listen, all the best. See you then.
You go and call them numbers, Philip, and do
Take care, Philip.
Thanks.
Big up, Philip, there. And that is Mr. the Godfather himself. Mia, we're only on for another about 10-15 minutes. You all right with that?
Yeah, that should be fine. Sorry about the dog snoring in the background.
I can't hear anything. Mia, look, I was trying to, when I was saying to Philip that, is there any crumbs that we can pick, during the press conferences and that? Harry Kane's contract the club are trying to get Harry Kane down onto a new long-term contract. Do you think he is linked to what Conte does? Do you think that both of them are linked to what happens if Conte leaves? Then Harry could leave. If Conte stays, then Harry will stay. But if Poch was to come back in, would that also make Harry want to sign a new contract? What do you think will happen? It's not just Conte leaving. There's a domino effect, isn't there, in the team as well?
Yeah, I don't know if it's more to do with the vision that we have as a club that Harry's more interested in, more than just Conte. I think he wants to see progression. Maybe he wants to see a plan. So maybe I think Harry's more. I think he's more focused on that than he is just purely Conte. But if he saw Conte as someone who could give us trophies, and he goes and he hasn't won any trophies, then that might put doubt in his mind that obviously what is going on with the club. So I think it's more to do with the actual plan and how he sees the vision of the club than it does specifically Conte. And I don't know if he'll stay, if he'll think that Poch is a good idea. We don't know what he's thinking, if he thinks for his career, if that's best, because he's got to think of his career, I suppose. If he gets to win any trophies,
Well, I'm just thinking, is Harry, because when Nuno came in, we hold all that balaka when Nuno is in charge. I was just wondering, with Conte, but Tenor, we will win the Champions League. You haven't got a hope in hell of winning it. You were dismantled by Real Madrid last night, 2-0 up at home, and you got smashed, kicked. You got your trousers taken down, and you got a good spanking. And Klopp, I don't think, Mia, do you think Liverpool can win the Champions League?
I think it's, Joe, they've got to go now to Real Madrid's home ground and score 4 goals with no reply to win the match. That's a lot to ask at Madrid at their stadium with their home fans. That's a really big ask. I would say that's because they're going to have to go there and play football, which will then play into Madrid's hands because they're going to leave space. So I think Madrid can score another 3 goals again, if I'm honest. I think they can score another 3 goals at home.
Yeah. Oh, he is a Spurs fan. Sorry.
Oh.
Got that completely wrong. When I saw Tenor, I just put 2 and got 5. I was big up anyway. Big up Tenor.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault as well. Ash Spurs said, sorry to say this, but I really don't like Sugar. I can't stand even his name being mentioned. Look, there is a love-hate relationship with this man, but he did save our football club. And I don't know if you're around then, such Spurs one, but I remember going to bed, we're going to have a football club. Him and Terry Venables did save our club. So, love him, hate him, don't like him, don't watch his program. If you do, The Apprentice, he did save our football club, which is something I'll always be grateful for. But, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So big up. And then David Clark says, planning permission for a 6-story complex cinema, 72 new homes and a commercial business. That was all within the contract to build a new stadium, David. They had to do that. You can't use that as an argument. I've said this before. They had to do it that way. They wouldn't have got permission to build our new stadium.
If you look at any place, so around there to me, they've got new houses being built, and they're contractually obliged to build certain things when they build those houses. So they have to build, like most of the time, they have to build like maybe a small shop if it's in an area that doesn't got one, or a library, or they have to, when they get permission, that is part of the permission. It's not separate, it's part of their permission, otherwise they're not granted that permission. So that's how it works. That is how it works. There was a new Sainsbury's built near where I used to live in London, and they had to build flats. They weren't allowed just to build the Sainsbury's. Unless they built the flats, the Sainsbury's couldn't have been built.
Yeah.
The small, like little local Sainsbury's. So
Yeah.
that it works with all planning permissions. It isn't just Tottenham. It's pretty much all people who build now, new builds. They have to have. They normally contract in something else with it, depending on where it is and stuff.
Yeah. Mia, look, before we just finish off, there's this question here: will Poch be a Levy yes man?
I hope not. I hope not. Because I don't want that. I don't want that. I want what's best for the club, and I don't think that's the best way to be. And I don't want him to come in, he's mates with him. We're going to be like all buddies. I want Poch to come in doing what's best for the team and for the club. So I hope not. I really do.
Yeah, David says, I'm saying they can't separate the football club from the redevelopment. That's my point. Yeah, that's true. And Mia did say that earlier. Look, Mia, I don't think Poch will be a yes man, but I think he'd be. I don't know. I see. This is the reason why I don't want Poch back. We went through all this before. Let's just. I just don't want it back to football club, because the second time around doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And are we going to go through this all again? Not being backed, not getting the players he wants. Somebody put in the chat tonight. Kev Williams said, Conte asked, but did Conte not have these insurances? Whereas our centre backs, you could be given all the insurances you want, but will the club back on them? And the answer to that is no. For me, Poch has to come in with a pair of balls this time and say, you want me back, you do it my way. If Conte is to leave. Now, we're not saying Conte is leaving, but if Conte does leave, he's got to come in, Poch, if it is Poch. And whoever comes in has got to say, I've got to do it my way, or you don't get me. And this is the problem. The managers go in there with all the best intentions, 6 months of season in, they're ground down to the ground, and they just say, that's it, I can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? If I want my club to be successful, and I want them to be successful under Conte. So let's just back the current manager that's here. But if he is to leave, I'd rather go for a Thomas Frank or the Brighton manager. I think going back to a previous manager never works. That's just my opinion. I don't think it will work. And when Poch comes back and it's terrible, where does that leave his reputation he had with the club for the job he did the first time round, Mia?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it does work. I don't. But the thing is, like I say, we haven't got much of a choice. So if he comes back and he messes it up, then he's only messing it up for himself, isn't he? That's the way you've got to see it. Is he's doing himself no favours as a manager by coming back and messing it up. He's actually doing himself a disservice. So at the end of the day, it's on him, isn't it? It's not just what will happen with the club. It'll be on him.
Big up, Shusper. Yeah. Do you know? Yeah, you know what it was like yourself back then, so it was not a nice time. He says correct. One thing I don't like about Pochettino, he seems like a yes man. Look, they used to go on holidays together. They were very close, Pochettino and Levy, and still are apparently. But Mia, there was pictures the other night. All the team are in London now. You just are people putting 2 to 2 together. Last question, then before we wrap up, are we putting 2 to 2 together and getting 5, or do you know what I mean? Are we just looking too much into this?
It could be possible, you know. I suppose we could be complete because, you know, fans, we do get a bit, you know, a bit crazy sometimes, don't we? We're like overthinking things, or
Yeah,
I don't know, but we could be completely overthinking it. We could be. So it could be nothing. It could be that we've got another manager in line to come. So yeah, it's really, you know, it's just we don't know, and we could be just completely wrong.
yeah. Just a few comments here before we end off. I think from Tenepool, big up Tenepool, he says, I think Thomas Tuchel would be a good choice. He plays the same formation. Mia, he is a Spurs fan as well. What do you say to Tenepool here on that comment?
Yeah, I did actually say Thomas Tuchel for me. I think Thomas Tuchel, but he's another ex-Chelsea manager, and people are a bit like sceptical of keep getting his ex-Chelsea man. But I just don't think he got a chance at Chelsea because they're so plastic that they snap really easily. So they get rid of managers like us. Like I have hot dinners and chocolate bars. So
Yeah. Big up, yeah, and big up Tenepool, big up Neil Shafton. He hasn't been a manager. He hasn't been a manager that has had that type of power. He had almost the best players at his disposal with PSG, and he had very little decision making influence. He is a yes man. That's fair enough. That's a bit strong, but I can
I
see
think
where he's
at
coming from.
I can, but I think that at PSG, it is a bit of a funny club. Their way they're run is very player power, isn't it? It's very much
Yeah.
player power. So I think it is a very difficult job. It's a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it, over at PSG?
It is. It really is. And David Clark, if coaches were that worried about their reputation, then Mourinho and Conte wouldn't have touched Spurs with a barge pole. Exactly. Exactly. And then such a one. I agree. Going back is never the correct way to go. No. You wouldn't go back to an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife or an ex-job. Why would Pochettino want to come back to Spurs under the same situation? The same situation is still here from the day he left. Same board, same chairman, same players. So for him, be like getting into Doctor Who's TARDIS and going back in time. And I just don't think it'll work myself. And then he says, David Clark, the ex-Newcastle owner is a lifelong Spurs fan, but you wouldn't want him as our owner. No. I'd rather have Levy as owner. I would rather have Daniel Levy still our owner or still our chairman than Mike Ashley, to be fair. Mia, where can people find you? Do you want to give your channel a plug there?
Oh, it skipped a bit. I think I'm lagging. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
Yeah. So you can find me at Spurs Between the Lines. I do regular lives on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays in 8:45 UK time in the morning. So it's a nice early morning if everyone's up to come and join me and have a nice chat. I do previews, reviews, and all other little bits in between as well. So I do all different kinds of content. So if you could all go and give me a subscribe, go and watch the videos, give them a like, I would really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, please, everyone, get over to Spurs Between the Lines. It's a great channel. Mia is a fantastic host as well, and she's done great jobs over there on her own channel. She's also part of this channel as well, and she comes on and does I think you're on with me in the morning, Mia, with Spurs News Round. And then she's on twice in the week in the morning with me, and then she comes on these debate shows in the evenings, the big ones. We don't have her for the little small ones. We always have Mia for the big ones.
I only like the big ones. What can I say?
Yeah, well, we're not going. That is for a late night show, Mia.
I meant the shows, though. Wash your mind out with soap and water, young man.
Look, also, if you're also there, please hit a subscription on our sister channel, Queen Ellie Spurs Lady Show as well. I think there's a new video going up there in the next day or so. So please, everyone, do that. And also hit your like and subscription here as well. Look, we've got 20 likes. thank you so much. Hit that like button. It gets it out in the algorithm. It does work, believe me. Very quickly, do you want Poch back if Conte leaves Spurs? The poll is now closed. We had 43 votes. 69% Mia said yes. 30% said no. So 69% of the people that have watched tonight or tuned in have said they do want Poch back if Conte leaves. So that's quite
that's more than I thought.
Just a quick thing, Mia. David Clark saying England ladies are beating Belgium 1-0. The Irish ladies drew 0-0 today with China. So that was a good result for them. David Clark's asking, when is the Spurs Ladies show next on? Well, that is now on Queen Ellie's Spurs Ladies channel. That's what all the ladies stuff is going to be. I think Ellie's looking to get something out the next day or two. I don't know. I don't know when she's doing the next live one, but we will announce it here. It is our sister channel, so she's already got one video up there. So please, everyone, go and see that. That was a report on the Manchester United game. Very quickly, Tequila says too early, Mia, for you in the mornings. 10
watch it on the replay. You can watch it on the replay, guys. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Coaches want to join Spurs to show they can. Yeah. Mia, any day but Monday, I will be there. Tenderpools also do the impossible. Big up Tequila. Big up Tequila 316. How are you, sir? It says I was too late to vote. Would take Poch back. Well, there you go. There's another one.
Have you not seen his follow-up one? Only if he kisses my feet, though.
Yeah, that's so true. And Sir Spurs one, thank you, was upset about the Poch question. Ended up really liking this stream. Well, thank you very much. That's what we're here for. We're here for your entertainment and for you to enjoy yourselves. And look, we're back tomorrow. I know you weren't a fan of Alan Sugar, but we're going to have a bit of fun rating the managers under the Sugar years and going through their times and that. So come in and give me your vote for Christian Gross.
And Joe, what else I quite like about that SH Spurs is that open-mindedness to listen and hear people out, because you listen to the stream. I really do appreciate people who are willing to hear people out and actually listen and stay around to listen to what we have to say. So you're very much really appreciated for doing that as well.
Yeah, I haven't got your link, Ellie, so I can't put it up for you. I'm sorry, I actually haven't got the link. Great show, Dermot and Mia and the Godfather earlier. It's so important for the fans to back the players, the manager, and the club. Yeah, come on, you Spurs. And yeah, everyone get over to the Queen Ellie Spurs Ladies channel if you can. This is our sister channel where Ellie does everything. Who's on with me 3 days a week in the mornings. I'm doing Spurs News Round, and she will be. I'm doing other bits during the weekend as well. And then she's saying, "What are we doing Mondays, David?" I don't understand that, Ellie. I'll give you a call after that.
What is he doing on Mondays? Because he said he can do any day but Monday to watch me in the morning. So she's asking what does he do on a Monday.
Oh, okay. Right. Sorry. I really wasn't really thinking. Sorry. Right. I'm going to end it off there. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely rest of your evening. I'm now going to watch the second half of the Champions League. And then we're back tomorrow at 7 o'clock with the Sugar Years. Please come in. Please come and join us and get your thoughts in on as we rate managers from Ozzy Odilis to Georgie Graham, and we'll have a bit of fun with that, me and the Godfather. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Take care. Thank you, Mia, for joining me again this evening.
And just quickly, what a man. He volunteers on a Monday. I remember him saying before he volunteers. So big up to you, David.
Yeah, big up, David, as well. All right. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.